Good evening, everybody.
Hi, guys. My name's Gabriel, or Gabe. I'm from Birmingham in the UK.
And I'm Emily from Cambridge in the UK. We are both teachers at the Ponte Lungo School in Rome, if you don't know us already.
Yeah. Is my breathing all right today?
Give a huff.
Just in terms of the...
Yeah, it's fine. I can't hear it at all.
Okay, all right.
It seems to be very random whether or not.
No, I know. I honestly, I don't understand that. So, in this focus activity, talking about paradise destinations, looking at destination reviews and using colloquialisms to describe places.
Yeah.
What do we mean by paradise, Emily? What do you think? What comes to mind when we say paradise for you?
Well,
I've dumped you in it.
I think I'm comparing it because there is obviously a pretty direct translation in Italian, but I think the implications in English and in Italian are quite different. I think it does have religious associations in English, but not as strongly as it does in Italian. So usually in normal conversation, if you talk about paradise in English, it just means an amazingly idyllic, wonderful place. It doesn't mean heaven.
No.
It does more in Italian, I think.
Yeah, we would probably more readily use heaven in a theological context, whereas paradise is
more
secular, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. Cool.
But it's going to be a nice bit of escapism for us today.
That's true.
Which I'm sure we all need.
So what springs to mind when you hear the phrase paradise on earth? I quite like the phrase springs to mind as well. What sort of ideas, what images come into your head when you think of paradise on earth? Is really what springs to mind is getting at, I think. I think you hit on so this is a question to students, any students that are out there, definitely. But also we can talk about it whilst other people join us. I think you hit on a key word that I was thinking about, which was idyllic. On the last slide. Something that's often very peaceful as well, I think, in some way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Peaceful, idyllic. I could list more and more adjectives, I think. What about you guys? What do you think?
Peaceful and beautiful, I guess. Yeah, I'm still thinking about idyllic.
Actually, that's a word that's used down there as well, isn't it?
Yeah. We have Julia. Hi.
Julia from Pescara. How are you, Julia? And what springs to mind when you hear the phrase paradise on earth?
While Julia is answering, Gabe, do you think you've ever seen a paradise on earth?
Yes, I probably have. I'm although one singular one doesn't spring to mind, doesn't leap to mind. I remember traveling most recently. It's kind of like the question of what is your favorite, as opposed to can you name one that you really like again. This is kind of what's running through my mind. I went through the pass through Italy in and around Trieste into Slovenia. I went through last year during, I think it was about December time. And it was the most insanely beautiful thing I've ever seen. Just the change in topography and the snow on the hillside, on the mountainside. It was the most insane transition from kind of quite a recognizable landscape to something out of a, I know it's not a German region, but out of maybe a Germanic fairy tale in some way. It was completely like being transported from reality into the world of fiction or something. It was utterly insane. It's
the natural surroundings.
The natural surroundings, the natural beauty of the landscape, but also the physical climate change as things became cold and kind of crystalline, and the landscape mattered with snow. Utterly insane. That's the last paradise on earth I remember.
Well, that's kind of what Julia's describing here then. Amazing places that seem unreal for their beauty. Yeah. It's interesting because so what springs to your mind when you think of a paradise on earth is not exactly the way that I was thinking about the phrase. Because I think when I think of a paradise, my natural response was to try and think of somewhere where it's not just incredibly beautiful, but where human beings have found a way to live in a really good way with their surroundings. So when I was thinking, I'm not sure that I ever have seen a paradise on earth, because I'm not sure that I've ever actually encountered any community that seemed to be living in such a
harmonious way or something.
Yeah, harmonious, exactly. But I have seen some amazing landscapes. And kind of natural paradise for the beauty.
So I mean, what is springing to your mind seems to be more like some kind of configuration of utopia in some way, in that you've not seen a utopia, kind of this existing in a real state.
I've heard about communities, which I might describe as a kind of paradise on earth, but I've never encountered any. But I was thinking of it more in terms of human life as well, and human some kind of civilization. But that doesn't mean that I'm not querying what you said. I'm just
I realise. I think it is a very multifaceted phrase, perhaps. I think in this kind of, in my mind, it was configured similarly, in a similar manner to how Julia was saying it, in that it was very unreal, or seems very unreal in how you physically perceive it. Daniela, how are you doing? My personal paradise on earth is a thermal park in Ischia, Poseidon Gardens.
So a natural spring. It must be natural spring. Wow, cool. Julia, have you ever seen a paradise on earth, do you think?
It's interesting that you have said personal paradise on earth as well.
Yeah. Have you heard of any holiday destinations which are renowned for being idyllic? Well, plenty, I think. Yeah. Lots in Italy. Lots of idyllic destinations in Italy.
Julia said, I naturally associate paradise on earth with natural places. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's strange that I think we've all at least in some manner gone for nature being the fundamental part of it.
Yeah. It would have to involve humans living in harmony with nature, definitely. In the way I was thinking of it.
But okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting that we separate ourselves from nature fundamentally, though, isn't it? It's partially one of the problems. Just a slight note on using the word associate, Julia. We say that we associate something with something else. So it's very minor, and it's again one of these preposition ones. I associate paradise on earth with.
Yeah.
I don't know why I put it in mathematical terms, but
that makes sense.
It seems the most reasonable way of doing it.
Yeah. Okay, shall we go forwards? Okay, well, it's more conversation about the idea of paradise anyway. For you, what makes a place a paradise? Which of these are the most important in making a destination idyllic? The atmosphere, experiencing a new culture, the landscape, things to do, monuments, museums, tourist attractions. I don't know that some of these things in this red list are actually kind of in contradiction with the idea of...
I was going to say tourism and paradise on earth don't for me.
or the concept of being idyllic also. Hi, Bruno.
Hello, Bruno. I had Bruno on earlier. Earth doesn't exist. Just nice places for a while. So there's a sense of the temporal nature of paradise on earth as well. For a while, you said. For a bit. I've been to Malta. I saw the sunset in... Ooh. That's a good shout. When I went to Malta, I saw the sunset in Gozo in a place called the Blue Window. I've been to the Azure Window as well. I think we call it like, I suppose we call it closer to Azzurro in English as well. I think we call it the Azure Window, which is now collapsed, I think.
Yeah, she said.
Yes, you said yes. You said yes. It's a natural window created. Yeah.
It was a natural.
Have you seen this thing?
No, I've never heard of it.
I went diving and through the Azure Window, actually.
You did?
10 years ago now. Yeah. It's the most insanely beautiful.
Yeah. For this sentence,
it's quite a famous.
Julia's, you've put when we specify with when, we would usually use the past simple. So when I went to Malta, I saw the sunset in Gozo. We wouldn't use when with the present perfect like this.
You've got to put it up, though. You've got to put it up. Sorry, I had to pull up the image of it.
Yeah, I have seen that photo before. Yeah.
You know that one? Yeah, it's quite a famous image.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Bruno's on a bit of a downer. Very true. Yeah. Maybe places of extreme natural beauty will become all the more precious to us. So which of these are the most important in making a destination idyllic or in making a destination like a paradise? I mean, we've got things like experiencing a new culture and then monuments and tourist attractions. But I think for most people, when we think of a paradise, we wouldn't think of an urban setting. It would have to be a pretty amazing city to qualify as a kind of paradise, because the way modern cities work and the way cities have always worked, there's just no way that they could qualify as a paradise. But then
we like to live in them, though, don't we?
We do, yeah.
We still like to live in them, though. Yeah. Having said all of that.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose experiencing a new culture could mean visiting not some urban centre, but a culture of people where people have learned to live better with their landscape. In my opinion, the atmosphere is the most important aspect that makes a place a paradise. Okay. In what sense?
Yeah. Daniela said, for me, paradise is a place where you can stay. You can stay relaxed without stress. So when we talk about paradise, we don't use the. Well, I suppose you could say. So if we're talking about only paradise, we don't use the definite article. But sometimes you could say a paradise, couldn't you? Don't you think?
Yeah, like
so
in the question.
yeah, exactly. A place, paradise. So we could say, if we're talking about maybe different types of paradises, that you could say a paradise. If you're talking about the singular idea of paradise,
the definitive paradise.
The definitive one, yeah. We could just drop the definitive article in this case. So for me, paradise is a place where you can stay relaxed without stress.
Yeah. It's almost like a title then, isn't it? Paradise.
Yeah. It's like you would say
heaven.
Heaven, not the heaven. Yeah. The atmosphere and landscape are important. They are nothing if you're stressed. That's quite true. That's true as well.
Yeah. If we talk about monuments, then Italy is the best place. Okay, interesting. Definitely front runner for amazing monuments.
It has the most UNESCO World Heritage sites, I think. So.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think Italy does.
Yeah.
So you're not wrong, Bruno.
Yeah, but it's just interesting thinking about the association of paradise with historical monuments. Yeah.
I suppose, again, if you bring it back to this idea of atmosphere and the feeling that it can give you.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. And some old...
Is paradise outside us? In that sense. Because Daniela's definitely said, if you're stressed as well, you can't appreciate. Yeah. atmosphere, the
Yeah.
landscape.
Yeah, I'm trying to
If
think about
you're-
man-made paradise. What have I ever encountered that was so beautiful, that was man-made, that I might think of it as a kind of paradise? I don't know.
I'm just wondering if it's more about like an internal state so much as it is potentially. Of course, we can talk about the external natural landscape and beauty and that kind of thing, but also if you're talking more along the lines of what Daniela was saying about inner kind of peace in some way, you can feel paradise maybe in a really rubbish place, you know, in an objectively, I don't know, less beautiful, less aesthetically pleasing location.
Yeah, I guess that would be possible. That would be a kind of paradise. But also, I mean, the external place could give you that sense of calm and peacefulness.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, Venice is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. But it doesn't feel like a paradise when you're there because of all of the number of people and tourists around you.
It's like you're in paradise, but you're really annoyed about it.
Yeah. I could be in Venice and it was not full of tourists. And I could feel like I kind of had the city to myself somehow. I don't know.
You've passed through the pearly gates, but there are loads of tourists around annoying you, and there's like somebody with a selfie stick and it's getting in your face.
Okay, well, we've got...
like I said before, paradise is an amazing place, so beautiful that seems unreal. With unreal, I meant that it makes you feel over the moon.
Nice.
This is the atmosphere.
Of over the moon. And Bruno, the best place is inside our mind where there is no pollution or wars, etc. Maybe inside your mind, Bruno. Can you hear that?
I can hear that, yeah.
Okay. We go forward.
This has got nice and philosophical. I like this.
Yeah, it was good. What do the underlined words and phrases mean? Some of these, I think, are fairly intuitive. But we can go through them fairly quickly. Number one, we stayed in the heart of the city. Probably this is quite obvious, the meaning. How could you paraphrase in the heart of the city to our students?
Buffalo soldier.
In the heart of America. This is a bad habit, Gabe, singing of ours that we.
I know. It's when there's a slight radio silence, I just get a song that plays in my head off of the last thing that we've read. I agree.
So Daniela says, I agree with Bruno. And Bruno says, great, Daniela. Oh, sorry. And then we also have Venice is too expensive, so it's not a paradise. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think Venice is beautiful enough to be a paradise, but the reality of being there is not.
It's a city built on money.
It is. It is
literally.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah. In the historic centre. In the centre. Yeah.
Your microphone's gone a bit weird.
Oh.
Or is it mine? No, it's okay now.
Okay.
You went all black metal again. It was.
Yeah. That happens. That was just me. That wasn't the microphone. Do you want to do number 2?
Yeah, okay. It was packed and vibrant, a bustling town.
Well, there's a lot in there, though, isn't there? Packed, vibrant, bustling. I suppose they're all kind of.
I mean,
they're not.
I would have thought that packed and vibrant might be better known. Bustling, especially. I'm assuming vibrant is the same, isn't it? I don't know. It looks it. Yeah. Yeah, in particular, what does bustling mean, guys? You might hear this in the phrase, the hustle and bustle. It's quite a common phrase. Okay, packed as well. Packed, guys. Okay, so I might answer that one. Packed is like very busy. It was very crowded. It was packed.
Not necessarily, not in a bad way. Well, I mean, it could be.
It could be. It's a neutral term, I think, in the sense that busy could be as well.
So, Bruno, it's. To keep your feet on the ground, I think, is an Italian expression. But so in English, we would say down to earth, which I think means the same as the Italian keep your feet on the ground. It's not this. It just means in the heart of a place means in the center of a place. And then to keep your feet on the ground is not really an English expression, but down. Oops. Down to earth.
So yeah, guys, bustling. What does bustling mean? Vibrant is the same. What does bustling mean? Packed is crowded, exactly, Daniela, yeah.
Okay. Can you hear that? That's good. That's pretty good. A bustling town is a lively town. Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed.
It's full of activity. Yeah. Full of life and activity. Yeah. Okay. What have we got?
Yeah, they're very similar, Daniela.
So we've got vast and run down. Does anyone have a? So Julia's not sure about run down. Does anyone else have a description? And also vast. What would be a synonym for vast? Maybe that's the same in Italian actually as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, vast is the same, so we don't need to worry about that again.
Run down. Any guesses?
Yeah, vast is huge. Can you hear the birds?
I can, yeah. Sounds like you might be close to a paradise on Earth.
Well,
in a kitchen next to paradise on Earth.
It is not. Yeah. Could be like a ruin. Yeah. A rundown place is a place that has where people have not. Oh God! I thought this was going to be easy.
The maintenance it's not been maintained in any way, and it's begun to decay and collapse. And I think there's a lack of maintenance, isn't there? And maybe the services have started to kind of rescind and begin to go into a ruinous state, I think.
Yeah.
A
ruin is a little more than rundown. First, you become rundown, and then finally, it might become a ruin. Yeah, but it's part of that process. Okay.
I'd never come across a place quite like it.
So again, Bruno's talking for number 4. Rundown. This is very close, Bruno, but not destroyed. Not quite destroyed. It's before a monument is destroyed. Rundown could be, and also not just for a monument, it could be your house. If you do no repairs to your house for a few years, your house can start to seem a bit rundown. I mean, number 4 is really, it's the verb to come across, really, is what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
So to come across a place is not just to go to a place. There's another aspect to it. It means by chance, really, to find something by chance. So it's a coincidence that you find it. I could say, I went to the supermarket yesterday and I came across my friend Tom. So it was a coincidence. It was by chance that I found him. Cool. Number 5, it was off the beaten track, tranquil and unspoiled. Off the beaten track. Do you think maybe we should go ahead after this one because there's so many expressions?
Yeah, quite possibly.
That's pretty good, Bruno. I've never seen a place like it. Yeah, really, I've never found a place like it. But in effect, it's what you said there. Daniela doesn't know number 5, to be off the beaten track. Does anyone else have a, Julia or Bruno, do you have a guess? So a track, a synonym for track could be, oh, yes.
Not on the path. Yeah, I think that's effectively it. It's not on the path which has been, walked upon by people before. So I suppose more figuratively that people go to, it's something a little bit more off-piste and in the wild in some way. Not on the path, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we've got this unspoilt as well, which is kind of, I guess, I don't know, maybe we can leave that one.
Yeah.
Any ideas for unspoilt, guys?
You know what to
If you look at the verb, yeah, on its own, it's probably easiest. Spoil.
It's not, so I wonder if desolated, that might be a translation from Italian. We have the adjective desolate in English. A desolate place is a very lonely place. And unspoilt is not this. It's not desolate. So desolate is the adjective. To spoil something is like to ruin something. So if we could say if you're playing a game and somebody cheats, they spoil the game. So they ruin the game. And so somewhere unspoiled is a place that has not been ruined. It's a place where everything is still more or less perfect. Bruno's
kind of uncontaminated as well.
Yeah.
As well, in this sense.
Yeah.
Uncontaminated.
There's nothing more unspoiled. I hope that's not true. Maybe there are still some distant reaches of the world where there are still unspoiled areas. Okay. Yes, not touched. So we'd have to make it passive, not touched by human hand. Yeah, but yep. This is all good. So shall we Is there something to go ahead to, Gabe, or should we just go through all of these?
It's not great, to be honest. It's more and
Okay.
no, it's not really good.
Okay. We could just go through these and then come up with some examples then.
There's a slide about have you ever been to is like use of the terms.
Okay, cool. But we should finish them first then.
Yeah.
Strolled,
guys. Any ideas? I strolled past the palm trees.
To stroll is one of my favorite verbs.
Activities.
And activity, because it's one of my favorite activities. Yeah. Guesses for stroll? To stroll?
Yes, you don't. In a paradise on earth, you don't march, do you?
No. You don't march and you don't stride. You
definitely stroll. Yeah.
Or saunter.
I was thinking saunter as well, but it's a funnier word, saunter, I think, in some way.
Yeah.
Something goofy about sauntering. I strolled. Is it the same as I crossed?
Not
quite. You could stroll as you cross.
Yeah?
You probably shouldn't, but now in Italy, we don't stroll through the city. So I think you know what it means, Daniela.
I would say to stroll. To stroll would be to walk slowly and happily.
Leisurely, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
To walk in a very leisurely manner.
Relaxed, in a relaxed way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like time doesn't matter to you too much. What about side by side?
It's so strolled, Daniela, is the past tense. It's a regular verb, so the infinitive is stroll without the ed. So now in Italy we don't stroll through the city, or we can't stroll. And a few weeks ago, everybody strolls up and down the street. I stroll to the supermarket once a week, still, in the sun.
Do you? I march.
Yeah. Side by side is probably pretty obvious.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a direct translation. There's isn't really.
Yeah. Let's look at the verb to take in. Oh, Bruno's. We could say I strolled down the street. Yeah, to go to the other, maybe to the other end of the street?
Yeah, it's again, it's not the same as crossed necessarily. You probably cross the street to get to the other side, whereas yeah, you could stroll down the street to get to the other end of the street.
Yeah. It's similar to walk. It's a type of walk. If you think to march is a type of walk, and then to stroll is a different type of walk. So Julia, to take in, suggested to admire, which is very close, I think. There was too much to take in as we drove across the breathtaking landscape. It's very similar to admire. It's not quite a synonym. I think to take in is kind of to absorb mentally.
To comprehend, I think, in a way.
Yeah.
But less maybe with the direct.
And then,
yeah, but it could be more sensual as well, couldn't it? I suppose. To absorb. Yeah, it's quite good.
And we've only got a minute, guys. So breathtaking, but also backdrop. If anyone's got descriptions for these two. The mountains form a backdrop to the town. It's a shame we don't have more time because I want to make all the students write descriptions using these now. But you guys, you can always do that at home. So your homework, because we have to finish, is to try and use these terms in context. Because it's one thing to give a definition for all of these, but it's another thing to try and use them in the correct way. This is
absolutely, yeah. Breathtaking is so amazing that it leaves you speechless and even breathless as well. Yeah, that is act expression. Can you do that again? Exactly. Spot on, Julie. And backdrop quickly as well. The mountains form a backdrop to the town.
Yeah, this is good as well. When you see a beautiful landscape and are amazed. When you are amazed, yeah. So, backdrop. I mean, it's not exactly a wall, but I kind of see what you mean. Do you want to explain backdrop, Gabe? I think I've done a lot of explaining.
It's like the scenery behind the town, effectively. It's almost like if you imagine a stage, and the backdrop on the stage is literally the piece of material at the back of the stage with the artwork on it, which sets the scene. So I feel like the mountains forming a backdrop is like the scenery behind the town, which is in front of it. It's like the landscape, as Danielle has said. It's like the surrounding landscape, the surrounding scenery.
Great stuff. Okay. Well, that was nice. It was nice, nice distraction to think about paradise.
About paradise, it's true.
Stuck in my tiny flat.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.